What's up, y'all? I'm out here at the range on another cold day. I've got some sun up above me though, so hopefully it'll keep me warm enough to get some heavyweight 9mm testing done. So we got the good old jelly contraption set up with the chrono and 2 blocks of gel. Now I've done one test in this gel so far. It was a 380 test. It was actually a plus P follow-up to the Underwood standard round, so I'll leave a link up above if y'all hadn't seen that one. And like I always mention lately, I'm using my heavy clothing barrier on this one with the layer of denim, layer of fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And what we're checking out, like I said, here is a couple of heavyweight 9mm. We've got both of them 147 grain. We're running the Winchester Ranger T-Series here, 147 grain. Those of y'all who aren't familiar with these, I've done quite a bit of testing with these in a few different calibers. Really nice performing rounds. These are definitely one of my favorites here, so should be interesting to see how this big heavy one does in through this clothing. And we're putting that up against the good old Federal Premium HST in 147 grain. I think pretty much everybody is familiar with Federal HST. This is arguably one of the best self-defense rounds in pretty much any caliber you can get. Now this doesn't have any kind of ballistics on the box, so I'm not sure what kind of velocity they're claiming, but we'll find out. Now the tool I'm going to use to test these with today is my P80. Now usually I tell y'all this has got a 4 1/4 inch barrel. It's really between 4 1/4 and 4 1/2, more like 4 3/8, but this is considered a full size. This is a direct drop-in barrel for a Glock 17. It's the same exact thing, so that's what you can figure. If you call your Glock 17 4 1/2, call it 4 1/2, call it 4 1/4, whatever you want to call it. But regardless, I chose a full size just because, in my opinion, these 147s are probably better suited to be ran out of a full size. Now, I have tested these T-Series, I'm pretty sure, and the 147s out of shorter barrels on my 365 or the GX4. And if I can remember off the top of my head, they did well there in bear gel too. So if y'all would like to see these 147s out of the shorter barrels, let me know. But like I said, personally, I would keep these 147s in a longer barrel like this. But anyway, this should be a good test between what I personally consider 2 of the best 9mm defensive rounds that you can possibly get. So let me get all this stuff set up and let's check these things out. All right, let's find out what these things are moving. I'm gonna do a 5-round average from each one, starting with the HSTs first. We got 997, I think. That glare is terrible right now. 990, 983, 972, and 996. So let's go check that average out. All right, so the 5-round average from those HSTs is 987 feet per second. Let me reset this and let's check out them T-Series. All right, let's check out these T-Series. If you remember, the box was claiming 970 on these, so be curious to see what we actually get here. 964, 974, 1008, 990, and 975. So those actually exceeded what the box claimed by just a little bit. Let's check that average. All right, y'all, you can't get much closer than this right here. The 5-round average on these T-Series is 982 feet per second. And if y'all remember off those HSTs, it was 987. So you're talking about 5 feet per second faster from that HST. So virtually identical, although I saw a few in there with those T-Series that was a little higher, a couple in there with the HST was a little higher. So as far as the average though, they're right there, almost identical. So this should be really interesting to see what happens in the gel. Let me get this reset and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's thick boy jelly time. I'm gonna put one of each round into the gel, starting with this HST first. I'm hoping for good things out of both of these. Let's see what we get, y'all. All right, that should have been a good hit. Let me go down there and check it out. All right, y'all, I don't think it's any surprise that HST is looking fantastic down there. So let's see what this T-Series can do. I really like these things, so I hope they do well. Let's see what we can get. I'm gonna try to go up under this one without hitting the bottom down there. I went pretty low. Let me go check it out, see if I'm okay. All right, y'all, that was actually perfect. If it would have swerved down another ½ inch or so, we might have had to take another one, but it didn't get into the bottom at all. It stopped right there at it. So what we got down here is 2 fantastic performing rounds. I figured it was going to be this way. I was hoping it would anyway, but on the top here, that's your HST. As you can see, comes in immediately. You can tell it expands, makes a fantastic wound channel here. Fantastic disruption, nice spiraling looking action. Carries on through that first block into the second block, looks like maybe a few inches, and I can just tell you, looking at it through the gel before I even pull it, some fantastic expansion on that thing. And then on the very bottom here, that's our T-Series. Again, it comes in, you can tell it starts to expand almost immediately. Now I will say this disruption area is not as large as that HST. It looks like the HST definitely started opening sooner and opened up. It's a larger size, I would say. I'd be willing to bet once we measure it, it's going to be a larger size, but still no slouch on this T-Series. Fantastic looking wound channel. Now it looks like it started shedding a little bit of material here. It looks like a few pieces of lead. Carries on through this first block, very nice spiral looking action on into the second block, and you can see it resting right there, and it looks like it's expanded very, very nicely as well, but it doesn't look like quite as much expansion as that HST. Now I can just tell you before I even measure these that these things are almost exactly the same. The penetration on this HST is 19 inches. The penetration down here from that T-Series is about 19 and maybe a quarter or so. So maybe a quarter of an inch more penetration out of that T-Series, but almost exactly the same. I think y'all had a pretty good view, but here's a little bit closer down on the bottom. That's that T-Series. As you can see there, see what I mean? A couple little specks of lead there. Carries on through. Very, very nice performance out of both of these. And then there you see that one there sitting right there at the bottom, and you can see the expansion on it. And then again, your HST right there. Very, very nice disruption there on that one. Nice spiral action, as you can see. And into the second block right there. Very nice expansion you can already see. And those things, I mean, a quarter of an inch difference. They're almost identical. All right, y'all, let's take a look at these projectiles here. Obviously, you can see here fantastic performance out of both of these things. Now that I pull them out, those talons, those little spikes on these T-Series, I mean, those things are just vicious, y'all. I've talked about these before, but those things are incredibly thick. They're very, very hard metal. That's one of the changes that they actually made with the T-Series from the old black Talon. They thickened up the points on these so they'll actually stay where they're supposed to stay. And you can see it did the job. I mean, these things are incredibly hard. If you even wanted to try to bend them, they'll poke you. I mean, and they're just, like I say, very, very thick, stiff material. And then you got the HST over here. I mean, what needs to even be said here? I mean, that's fantastic performance. That's absolutely fantastic performance. Just really, really nice expansion on it. Now, one thing you can see here is the lead definitely expanded more on the HSTs, whereas the bulk of your size on this Talon or the T-Series is coming from the little talons sticking out. But really, really nice looking expansion on both of these. But let's get us a few measurements on them and see what we got here. So they both started at 147. This T-Series is at 145.4. So it definitely lost a little material. Like I say, that's obvious. You can see that. The HST is 146.8, so maybe a couple little crumbs lost on that, or could just be tolerance in manufacturing. Now, as far as the measurements on them, we'll start with this T-Series here. So going from point to point, which is its widest expansion, 738, 708, and 706. So some fantastic expansion out of that thing. And then your HST here, you got 615, 612, and 594. So some fantastic expansion on that one, although the overall size, because of these points, is just a hair smaller on that HST, but it sure doesn't show it in the gel. And there you have it, y'all, a couple of heavyweight 9mm here, the T-Series and the HST. My opinion has always been that these are some of the best defensive rounds that you can buy, and the results that I'm seeing right here today just reinforces that thought. I mean, just fantastic penetration, excellent expansion, great energy out of them for a 147 grain projectile. I don't think you can ask for much more at all out of either one of these rounds. All right, y'all, that's gonna do it for another test of a couple of fantastic 9mm rounds. I don't think there's any argument to be made against the fact that we saw great performance out of both of these rounds. I mean, just almost picture perfect performance. If I had to choose between one of these, I don't know, it would honestly be a complete toss-up. You got the basically identical energy, pretty much identical performance in the gel. Maybe you would give that HST a little bit of edge as far as the expansion on it, even though it wasn't a bigger size. The lead expanded more, but I don't even think that mattered. Just because of the way that T-Series is built, I think it would do as good or better job than the HST. I think the HST is as good or better than the T-Series. I think right here what you got is a draw with two incredibly performing rounds. But y'all let me know what y'all think about these rounds. If you had to pick a winner here, which one would you pick? If you do carry one of these or you do use one of these, which one do you use and what do you use it in? If you did enjoy the video, reach down and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you click that bell notification icon so you can get notified when I upload new stuff. Take a second if you would and check out those affiliate links in the video description. If you shop through Amazon, hit up that storefront link. You go straight through Amazon like normal from there. It don't cost you any extra money, but anything you buy after that, I get a kickback from them towards the channel. Same goes for those axle links. I use these GS Extremes every single time I'm at the range now. I can still put my hats on and keep my ears warm and they're not getting in the way. If you're in the market for some really nice ear pro, check these things out and hit up those links and you can save a pile of money instead of going straight to their site. Like I always tell you, I appreciate all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all out there for supporting the channel. I got a bunch of really good stuff headed y'all's way, so be on the lookout. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.